Rebecca Stewart. I'm sitting down with our Chief of Cardiology at Hartford Hospital, talking about athletes. This is one of your passions, athletes and an athlete's heart. Tell us some of the studies you're working on.
So one of the studies that we just had published is a review of a lot of echocardiographic measurements of the heart size in athletes. And we were particularly looking at the left atrium. The left atrium is that chamber that fills the big pumping chamber, fills the left ventricle. And what we found is that the left atrial size in athletes is bigger than it is in comparison subjects. Now, it's long been known that athletes have bigger hearts. What we focused in is one part of the heart, which is the left atrium.
What are the implications of that?
So the implications of that actually relate to another article that we're going to have published, this in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. I was asked to write an editorial about the relationship of exercise to atrial fibrillation. Now, what's atrial fibrillation? Your atrium fills the ventricle, fills the heart, and it should function by squeezing. But in atrial fibrillation, it actually quivers, so it doesn't move the blood through. The problem with the heart quivering like that, the atrium quivering like that, is it can form blood clots, so that when it does contract, it can throw those blood clots out to the head or someplace else. So I was asked to write this editorial because it's been shown that if you exercise a ton, like a lot of running over a long period of time or a lot of endurance exercise over a long period of time, you actually have a higher rate of atrial fibrillation. On the other hand, if you get very little exercise, you have a high rate of atrial fibrillation. So we refer to this as a U-shaped curve, meaning that as you get more exercise, your atrial fibrillation rate goes down, but if you get a whole lot or too much, and the study was done in people who had run this ski race in Europe for 25 years. It's a U-shaped curve. It goes down and then it starts up the other side.
What are the lessons that we take from that? Moderation is key?
The lessons are really moderation is key. Now remember, most Americans are not on the ascending limb of that curve. Most Americans get very little exercise. So the key message is that if you want to prevent atrial fibrillation, get some exercise. That's the key message. The whole thing about this other side, this interest in athletes, that's something we're interested in from a research point of view, but it doesn't affect that many of the whole United States population because not many people get that much exercise.
And a lot of people have that fear from big stories in the media that we may have seen about really intense athletes who may have had an enlarged heart, they didn't know about it, and they had a sudden death.
That's probably related, but not as directly as we may think so. If you have underlying heart disease, we know that if you have underlying or hidden heart disease, that exercise can increase the risk of a sudden cardiac event, either a heart attack or actually sudden cardiac death. But that's quite rare. For example, in college athletes, it looks like there's only about 10 cases per year. So it's quite rare. Every one of them a tragedy, but quite rare.
And you are a big advocate of exercise. You tell people to get out there and get moving.
Yeah, we're a big advocate of exercise. In the sort of exercise most people can walk or swimming or something like that, but everybody should do something every day.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Paul Thompson, Hartford Hospital's Chief of Cardiology. And for more health tips, be sure to head to connecttohealthier.org.